Record onto this computer. Okay, here we go. We are in fact recording. So what are we talking about today? Wait, first off, what's your name again? I mean, what's your full, I only know you as Mary, so.
Yeah.
What's your
My
Korean
name is Minseung Ryu.
Ninzu. Ninsen?
Minseung.
Ninsen.
Yeah.
Ninsen. Okay.
It's kind of hard to pronounce in English. Even for
Every word is difficult to pronounce in English. Yeah, every Korean word. It's such a fascinating, interesting language.
Ooh, do you like studying Korean then?
Well, what's happening right now is starting in a couple of weeks, I have to make a decision about how I'm going to study Korean. So it's just a matter of how much time I can dedicate to studying Korean. So, and a strategy for deciding exactly what Korean I want to, I am capable of learning within that time frame.
Then how much time do you have? Or like, are you just learning as a hobby?
No, I would like to be able to say different phrases and have brief exchanges in Korean. Very brief exchanges. I speak Spanish, so I'm quite fluent in Spanish. But you know, Korean is just very difficult. Right now I am learning the alphabet and characters and so on. So, but you know, I don't know. It's time. It's a safe, I think I could simply say my time currently, every minute is taken up with activities that I enjoy doing and need to do. Yeah. So to take anything out of my time and dedicate it to learning Korean is I stop doing something else. So it's difficult.
Yeah. I guess you have to like decide which you put first, which priorities you put first.
Yes. And clearly you prioritize learning to speak English and write English because you are so fluent. You speak so well. Yeah.
Really? Thanks. I thought I was pretty fluent, but these days like I don't get a chance to speak English that much.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking that I need to improve more, especially on my vocabulary, because I feel like I'm just going in circles in the same, like my vocabulary zone.
Yeah.
I kind of want to expand it.
Okay. All right. So in this conversation, in this interview, I will teach you a couple new words.
That's perfect.
Well, I'm not sure I will, but I will try to say a few words that I think you may never have heard before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that challenge.
Okay. And it's a challenge for me. So, all right. Hey, so let's go. What are we talking about?
Okay, so our column of the interview is mostly focused on the person's occupation. So in our past interviews, we've interviewed like reporters or a person who works in the gaming industry. And we usually try to find graduates, but it's kind of hard to contact them because we don't really have a way to contact them. And I don't think we've ever done someone from another country before, so I thought it would be fun. And also, I did listen to your lectures last year, like two of them. One was in like I don't remember, but the second one was with Professor Lori Mulvey.
Yeah, my wife. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really fun for me.
Cool. Awesome. Well, ask away. I'm here.
Well, they're pretty easy questions. So the first one is, what do you do in your occupation? And I figured your occupation was a sociologist. Is that how you would like to be called?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of interesting, right? Like we don't think about now you ask a very simple question, and what happens is I go off on a really long answer, but we'll have the recording. You can put the recording up on your website.
Yeah.
So you know, when we decide to become a sociologist, or I will say students often ask me, you know, what can I do with a degree in sociology? And I always say, well, you can do anything, because there's no job for a sociologist. Like you never look in at job searches, you know, and see sociologists needed. It just doesn't exist. And so, you know, sociology teaches us how it helps us to think in new ways about people and about human behavior, and in particular about our behavior in groups, and the ways in which our behavior is shaped by things like the social forces around us that we don't necessarily see. And so that's what a sociologist does. And probably most people who would call themselves sociology, or at least sociologists, people who have masters or PhDs, most people or many of them teach. So I just happen to teach. So I teach other people what I've learned about sociology. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I did put you in as sociologist / teacher. So I guess that's adequate then.
Yeah, I would say teacher. Yeah, it's funny, you know. Teaching means so many different things to so many people, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I don't teach. I don't think that I have some idea, something in my mind, like an organizational understanding of the world, that I speak to students, that I tell students. I don't have anything like that. So I don't have notes. Like, you know, I don't go into my classes with notes and things for people to write down and memorize and that kind of thing. I teach by giving people an experience of watching social life unfold, and then having me and the other people I'm working with, which are usually students, talk about that. Yeah.
I remember in your last lecture, you said like, after your lecture is done, your students are left with questions more than answers.
Yeah. That's what we want, right? That's what you want as a student.
Yeah, I do. Like most college education is mostly focused on professors giving lectures and students just putting down notes, you know, not even like talking by themselves.
Yeah. Not like, it's like you sit there quietly and you have maybe a pen and a paper, or maybe a computer, and you just take notes. And I think, well, why do you do that? You could just go online and read it. You know, your professor could just put the notes online. You just go read it. You could stay home.
I know.
Huh. Okay, so that to me, that's, I've decided that I don't like teaching like that. It really bores me. It's dreadful. It's terrible. I want to be active. You know, I want to watch sociology unfold in front of me.
I think that's really cool. So that's kind of like I feel like teaching is like a really simple word, but it actually like means a lot, because you're actually influencing other students to think a certain way. So I was wondering, like, the description of being a sociologist is so like majestic and like so cool.
Oh, dude, cool word, majestic, awesome. Man, you are so agile with the English language. I really appreciate
Yeah, I haven't used that word in a long time too. It just
Whoa, that's just so brilliant. Really, that was such a perfectly placed word. Yeah. Oh my gosh. A full like heart to you. Okay, so go ahead. So my definition is majestic. All right.
Thank you. And so I was wondering what a day of being you would look like.
Oh, awesome question. Well, you know what? I wake up in the morning. I first check my phone to see what messages have come through overnight. Maybe messages from Korea or from the Middle East or from Europe, where I have colleagues and projects and so on, you know. And then I have coffee with my wife, with Lori, Dr. Mulvey, and we have coffee every morning together, and we talk maybe for like a half hour or sometimes 45 minutes. And then I come into my computer and I just open up my email, see what has come in, and just kind of take care of lots of little things. There's so many things to take care of, you know, regarding just things I'm doing, projects and so on. And then at some point on different days, I plan my presentations, you know, my classes. And so maybe on a Sunday, all afternoon, I'll say like, okay, what's class going to be like on Tuesday and on Thursday? And then all afternoon, I'll just be thinking about ideas and reading things. And I'm always reading things, you know, stories and news things, just trying to get information and ideas. And then at some point in the day, I'll start working on those, you know. So when you see me in class, I'm not giving them information, giving students information, but I have questions that I've thought out, creative ways to ask majestic questions. Yeah.
Well, are there, and this just like popped out of nowhere, but are there times in your classes where your students ask you questions that maybe it's kind of hard for you to answer?
There are always a couple times when students, they have the opportunity to just ask me any questions. Maybe I finish early and I say, hey, we have 10 minutes, like always the beginning of the semester and the last day of the semester. But they often ask questions that I can't answer. They're not hard in that there are times when I don't know the answer to something. If someone says, well, what do you think about, you know, the migration pattern between Kenya and, you know, Uganda or something, right? And I'm like, oh, I don't know that. Like, I gotta look that up, you know, or like the birth rate in Japan, you know, well, that I know, but, you know, stuff like that, right? But sometimes they ask a question that requires such a complex response that and sometimes I just don't have time to really give it the kind of response that it deserves. Yeah, and so those are the kinds of questions that they ask that I can't answer. And it's really, I just don't have time to answer. Yeah.
Okay. I just thought it was cool because in Korea, we usually never ask questions. That's just our class atmosphere.
Yeah.
So,
that's the part of Korean education that I think Koreans, a lot of people would, I mean, I don't know. You mean you for what you're able to do, the education system in Korea is amazing, right? But I don't know. I think a little more openness and
yeah,
I
think that is better. And okay, I keep on getting off track from our interview.
No, I think it's awesome. Yeah, I think the conversation, we will see a pattern as we come to a close.
And here we're studying sociology.
Yeah.
And for the second question, I always wonder about this with people like from different jobs. And the question is, did you always want to be a sociologist, or did you always want to study people as a whole?
No. So listen, if you watch my most recent Sevasi talk,
Mhm.
I talk about education in that,
Oh,
and I'll send it to you.
okay.
And I talk about my education, and it's worth kind of watching because it will give you a sense of
Mhm.
that, how I did not become a serious student until I was 20. So I never had the idea about sociology or anything like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think I remember you talking a little about it. Just said that you read tons of books instead of like
Mhm.
going to
Mhm.
school.
Yeah, I used to read books, yeah, but I didn't do homework. I just read books. Yeah.
Did that help a lot though? Or like give you any motivation for it?
It kept my mind engaged. I always had a very active mind, and so reading books was a window into the world. Yeah. But classrooms were very dull because teachers were just giving me information to write down and memorize, and I didn't have any interest in doing that. Why would I do that? Like, that's so boring. But you know, sometimes I would sit in the back of the room reading a book while I was supposed to be listening to the teacher, but I would have a book on my lap and I'd be reading it. But I didn't get good grades. My grades were terrible because I didn't study for tests or anything like that. It didn't matter to me.
I think that's how I am right now. Some of the classes just seem like just seem right off the internet. So it doesn't seem like worth my time to be listening to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Why would you? You know?
Yeah.
Well, good for you then. That's probably a congratulations, because that means you're alive. You know
I
what I
would
mean?
like
It
to
means
believe-
your mind is alive.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess I still have to figure out like what a true education would be like.
Well, what do you
Sometimes-
think a true education would be for you?
Well, for me, wait, what's the idyllic? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, idyllic, yeah.
The idyllic class would be where like everyone participates and
Uh-huh.
like speaks their mind and being active. But there are some days where I just don't want to talk and like cooperate because I'm just too tired. And so I don't think I can like always blame the people who just stay quiet.
Well, let me hypothesize something. If you were in a classroom with Lori, with my wife, and you were sitting in a circle with 20, 25 other people, and you were all answering questions because she was asking questions, and you were asking each other questions, and you were talking about some topic. I have this hypothesis that you wouldn't be tired. You'd be very engaged. Yeah, you'd never get tired. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
so that would be like, it would be awesome for you then.
Yeah. I guess if like the topics are kind of my interest.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, but can I say something else? Here's another hypothesis. If you're a thinker, right, probably almost anything that we'd come up with would be interesting to you. So you maybe not like even particle physics. Like if you think like, oh, I'm not interested in particle physics, but if you talk to Lori, if Lori started asking you questions about particle physics and saying a couple of really cool things, your mind would come alive. Like, oh my God, particle physics, this is so cool, right?
Yeah, I do.
Because it's not. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thanks. I have, I guess it does make sense because, you know, TED Ed, like they make like 5-minute videos of lots of different topics. And there are kind of like science related topics that I know I wouldn't take interest in school, but watching it like that with like all those cool animation, it does make me think.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you realize how cool that stuff is. Like, let's take something like a wave, right? Here are the physics of a wave when water comes in, you know, and there's all this energy underneath, and then the wave starts to build, and then the water comes. What happens when that water curls over, right? If you had a physicist explaining that with animation and stuff, that would be so cool. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Even though I've never thought about that until this very moment. And I've never thought like, oh, I wonder how a wave works. But you know, if I clicked on a video and there was some person explaining that, I would watch the video. That'd be cool.
It would. And I think it matters a lot that the person giving the lecture or just teaching that is really passionate, him or herself. Because if it just feels like he's just reading off his notes and stuff, it just seems boring. And,
yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
So I think that's why you and Professor Laurie's lecture seemed more fun, because you both seemed really passionate.
Yeah, 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 I would say. I think. Yeah. Yeah, we're both pretty passionate about not teaching, right? Yeah. About engaging students without teaching in the way that people teach, right? Yeah, that memorization stuff. Yeah, Lori despises teaching. It's funny. She doesn't call herself a teacher at all, even though she's one of the most amazing professors that I watch her with students, and it's mind-blowing, but she just, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so what other question do you have?
All right. Did you, I'm not sure how to phrase it, but since you like never really had your mind on becoming like a sociologist, were there any like hardships you faced well, I'm not sure if it's right saying like when you were pursuing it, or like when you were on your way to becoming what you are now, were there like kind of dark times or times when you just kind of went off track?
No, I don't think so. I mean, here are a couple things. When I met Lori, she was 21 and I was 25. And I was doing my research for my doctoral work in Latin America. So I was traveling back and forth to Latin America, and I lived for a long time in Ecuador, and she was traveling, and she came here to Penn State, and then, you know, she visited me. But early on, when we made a decision to be together, to live together, so I was then, I guess, about like 30 and she was 26. We didn't have any money. And we decided that, and that was okay. We were very careful in how we spent the money that we had, and we lived very, very carefully. And we were really in love, like we really enjoyed our relationship. And so that became the most important thing, that we understood that we could have a really good life if we didn't worry about things that we didn't need to worry about, right? And so, and if we didn't try to have power and money, like, you know, so we just said, like, look, we'll just make the money that we make. Whatever we make is how much we will make, and we'll live within that. And we're not going to try to be famous and powerful or anything like that. It doesn't matter. We're just going to be in love, and we're going to fall in love with the work that we do at any one moment. And then we spent 30 plus years just living that and enjoying, and not trying to be something other than what we were, right? And so that meant that all the obstacles that I might experience along the way were not obstacles, because I still had Lori and our relationship and enough money to live on and yeah, and a job that I really enjoyed. So yeah, so I never had hardships.
That's like a fairy tale.
Maybe so. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it's been nice. Yeah, it's been nice to not have hardships.
Yeah. I think
or dark times. Yeah, I would say that. All right, go ahead. I interrupted you.
Do you think that like your attitude towards life has like a relationship with that? Because some people could think like, oh, I still need money and like in order to be happy.
Yeah, well, I always knew that I needed money to pay my bills and I needed money to invest, to put in the bank and invest for the future, for retirement. So we always knew that. But what we decided was that, well, we don't need any more money than the money that we have. So if we can afford a brand new car, then we'll buy a brand new car. And if we can't, that's okay. We'll drive the car that we have. It just doesn't matter. And we need money to travel. That was always important. So, we make money, but we don't do things specifically for money. So we both enjoyed our jobs and we just made the amount of money that we got paid. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you chase after money, you can really lose the money. Like, you lose your salary or your income or your savings or something, right? But if you chase after kind of an inner peace, like an understanding of the world, and take care of your needs, right? Like, don't be careless about it. But if you chase after that, if you go after that inner peace and that understanding of life, you can obtain that. And then no matter what happens, you're always at the center. You always have that to fall back on. Yeah. And that's what we have done. Yeah.
That's a really good mindset. And
so it's a Confucian mindset, by the way.
Oh.
It's a Buddhist. I would say it's probably more Buddhist mindset than Confucian. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of like how you put it, because I always thought that, how some people worry about like their future and how they're gonna like shape it. But I always thought that if you just do what you like what you want, like money or fame, will just follow. Because for me, well, I'm not sure about money or fame, but like happiness.
Okay, happiness. Those are three very different things, by the way. Yeah, you threw them there. Like, you need to know. I mean, I know you know this, but take very careful note that money, fame, and happiness are three very different things.
It is. I just figured that out.
Okay, so let's go happiness.
Okay.
Because by the way, money and fame, I keep interrupting you, but I just want to say one other thing, and then I want you to money and fame. Fame is not real, right? Like, I mean, fame is that other people know who you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Which means nothing if you don't know who you are, right? If you don't have a really strong sense of who you are when you're alone in your bedroom at night going to sleep, if you're not happy and content and really know who that person is, all the fame in the world isn't going to help you. It's just going to make it worse. It's going to make life miserable. And money is a thing that if you have it, you spend it. If you don't have it, you don't spend it. So it doesn't. There are lots of, it's not that it doesn't make us happy. There's a certain amount of money where we don't have to worry about our basic needs. Like, I don't think about what I'm going to eat tomorrow, or will I pay for my electricity or whatever, right? I don't think about any of that. But I don't have a big yacht or an airplane or a big apartment in Gangnam, in Seoul, right? And that's okay. that's okay. I'm not meant to have those. Maybe I will in the future, but right now I don't.
Yeah.
And now it's about happiness. Okay, so
Mhm.
go ahead now that I've fully.
Okay. Well, in high school, I always knew that I loved English literature and that I
Okay.
wanted to study it. But you know how in high school, most people, well, not most people, but most students try to get like good grades in every subject. They try to like conquer every subject, every extracurricular programs, and they try to fill up their high school life with like trying to be extraordinary.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just didn't care for subjects that I didn't like math or science. So I just studied English always, and just, you know, I didn't really participate in extracurricular activities, but I did spend my personal time just reading books, writing like novels or short stories. And I just did what I loved. And I may not have gotten good grades in other subjects that I didn't like, but I did get a good one in English, and I was able to put all my all the private stuff that I did, like writing novels, in my resume, and that got me here. So I'm pretty proud that I just pursued what I loved. And
Cool. Very cool.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
awesome.
that brought me inner peace.
Yo, very cool. I love hearing that. This is what I wish for all my students,
Mm,
you know. Yeah. And you know, if you follow that, so listen, if you follow that call, right? That call to really just whatever it is that is alive in you and is awakened in you, when you think about like language and English and Korean and languages and books and so on, it'll be fine. You just follow that. Yeah. You don't follow the fame, right? You don't follow being known, and you don't follow money, although, you know, you have to pay your bills. So you want to get a job that allows you to be, to do, you know, to pay your bills, but you live within that means, and you go toward happiness.
Yeah. I think that's the best thing you could go after.
Yeah. And all the while you work hard, you know, like, not work hard to memorize and study, like, you know, like going to cram schools and stuff, right? But you work hard. You when you're doing your schoolwork, you give your best. And when you're not doing it, you just live life.
Yeah. That's a good mindset to have.
It sounds like the one you already have. So you didn't learn it from me. I learned it from you.
Yeah, I would love to like talk about this with my friends too, but I think most students don't really know what they want in life, because as I said, they try to pursue everything in high school.
Yeah.
And therefore they just don't know.
Well, because you're 19 or so. How old are you? And
21 now.
21. Is that's in Korean, your Korean age?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means you're 19 and a half. What are you in US terms? When was the day you were born?
2003 June 11th. So does that make me 19?
Whoa, so you'll be 20 you'll be 20 like next week? Yeah. And if you were using the US calculator or calendar or way of telling time or telling age. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Awesome. You'll be 20. Okay, so no 20. Okay, for my 20-year-olds, how would you know what you want to do when you're 20 years old? Like, that's pretty absurd. I don't know what I want to do. You know what I mean? I'm 62. I'm still kind of really trying to figure it out.
Um, okay. Let's move on with the interview. I keep forgetting.
Oh yeah, all right, yeah, we're doing an interview. Yeah. Well, you know, an interview and a conversation is really kind of a good interview is really a good conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. This is my first time being like an interviewer for anything. So.
And probably your first time in English too, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, all right. All right.
Okay, really just feels like a conversation.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Okay. And the next question is pretty similar to the one before, but are there any, could you tell us any pros or cons or any funny episodes that you experienced while being a sociologist or a teacher?
Well, I mean, there are things that have happened that are kind of annoying. Like, you know, when parents call me because they don't like what I said in the classroom or something. I don't know, whatever. I mean, there are tiny little things like that, but or like students not doing what I want them to do. You know, maybe cheating, right? It's like, can you just stop cheating? Oh, it's so frustrating, you know, that kind of stuff, right? And I can take a Buddhist approach to it and just say, all right, students cheat, don't cheat, don't cheat. It's the same. The Tao is the same. You know what I mean? The Tao says you cheat or you don't cheat, but in the end, everything is one. So like, okay, I can do that, but I get caught up in it and it gets really annoying. So things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, then like, it just popped up because you said students sometimes cheat. And I was curious, like what questions do you give as tests? For like midterm?
Well, so for my tests in my class, my big class, they watch a video, they watch different videos or they read readings, but they're interesting videos, maybe something, maybe like a BBC story about driving in Tokyo or something, right? Or drinking vodka in Russia, or like how the different sleep patterns in Scandinavian countries, something really interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Or an article about that. And then they have to read those, and then I give them a question about it. And the question is really simple. Like, you know, a 10-year-old could watch the video and answer the question. But if you don't watch the video or read the reading, you will never get the question right. You have to guess on it. So that's the way I do it. So what I want people to do is watch this video. I think it's really important, or it's cool. It'll get your mind going, you know, or read this short reading, you know, it's not a textbook or something, right? And you'll enjoy it and you'll be stimulated. And so I do that kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you think of tests as important or like as grand? Well, not grand, but like some students kind of like put their whole life into
no
studying
kidding.
for tests.
You mean they put their whole death into it, right? Not their life. Listen, yes. For what listen, maybe there's a class like I'm starting to study Korean, right? So you know, let me show you. So like I have this, right?
Ooh.
And I read it and I try to memorize it and I give myself a test. Like, okay, Sam, close your eyes now. Read the top line across there, right? Like, what are the symbols or what are the characters of the? Okay, that test is important, right? If I don't test myself, then I don't know. And if I was studying Korean and my professor or my teacher didn't force me to learn with the threat of a test, I would never memorize those lines. Like, but the threat of a test says like, oh, you got to do that. So tests can be really valuable. And for me, like I have this video. I really want you to watch this. This will illuminate some idea that I think is really important. Why the birth rate is dropping in Korea, right? Really cool article, read this. Well, my only way to get them to do it is to threaten them with a test question, right? And then if they don't get those points, meaning they don't watch the videos and read the articles, then they lose points in my class, and then they risk getting a lower grade. Yeah.
Okay. I had a question, but I forgot.
I love watching your mind, your gears going.
Oh,
Gears.
Gears.
There's a, you know what that means, right? Your gears are going.
But my question was that since you mentioned like showing videos of those interesting topics, do you keep your class consistent? Like, do you have one big topic for the whole semester, or does the topic like change every class?
It changes every class and every semester. I never do the same topic in the same way twice. Yeah. So even if I talk about a similar topic, I'll do it differently each semester. Yeah. Makes it more fun.
Yeah, it does. Then what do you want students to like, what do you want them to feel or like think after a semester of your class?
Let me ask you this question. If you had the most awesome class in the world, right, that you just like got done and you were telling your friends, that was the best class I've ever had, what would you be thinking and feeling at the end of it? Forget about what the topic is, right? It's a topic that you just came alive in. What would you be feeling or thinking at the end of it?
That I would like to take it again, or
okay, all right.
I'm not sure, and also that if the professor, if the topic, wait, not the topic, if the professor, the teaching style of the professor is what I like, I would like to take the professor's class, whether it's on like different topics.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. That's what I want my students to do. I want them to leave. And you would also leave wanting to know more about those topics, right? You would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
And you'd feel good about yourself. You'd feel smarter at the end of class. Your mind would be going. And if you had a friend in the class, if you had two friends in the class and the three of you were sitting in there together, and afterwards you say, every class you say, hey, let's go to the student center and get a coffee. On the way to get that coffee, in the best class you ever had, you would be talking to your friends about what happened in the class, right?
Yeah.
You could not talk to them because you'd be excited and they would be excited. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never experienced it, but
that's also what I want for my students. Yeah. Like people's parents watch, or their grandparents. I was talking to somebody today that the grandmother of one of my students was watching my class, you know. That's pretty cool. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine you were taking a class and your grandmother was watching from back home, right? And then you would talk to her on the phone and say, like, hey, what'd you think about the class? You know?
Yeah. That would be so cool.
Anyway, okay, so you answered my question for me then.
I just wondered like a professor's point of view, but
yeah.
I guess I ended up
I'm not sure many professors would say what I said. I mean, they all have many would just say, you know, like, well, I want my students to understand the subject matter, you know, and for me, you know, like, I fall asleep, right? I fall asleep. God, The reason I teach the way I do is because I started falling asleep in the middle of class. I was talking to students and I'm like, well, so you need to know. And then I realized, oh, this looks really bad. So I had to change the way I taught.
So relatable.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of your teachers, they're not boring. They're just sleeping. When you have a professor who you think, oh, this person's really boring, they're actually probably really interesting. But in that moment, they're sleeping through their own class. That used to be me. So then I said, okay, I got to change. That's hilarious. I've never told this to anybody. By the way, this is our, I'm just coming up with these thoughts as we talk. So thank you for your great questions.
Oh, thank you for answering. And that telling us that even professors fall asleep during their lecture.
Yeah, that could be the title of the interview. Sam Richards, even professors fall asleep. It's not just you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're okay.
Totally normal.
Like, Crash Course in Romance. Do you know what that K-drama is? You probably don't know. You probably, it was in English, it's called Crash Course in Romance.
Oh, let me just look it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I heard of this before, but I don't really watch K-dramas because they're kind of cringe. So
cringe. Wait, what do you mean by that? They're kind of cringe.
I just don't like how everything is placed kind of perfectly, like all like one strand of hair is placed perfectly, their skin is like glowing, and the way they talk is kind of unnatural to me. It's kind of hard to like listen to.
Yeah, I hear that. I can imagine that. Yeah. Cringe.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I brought that up is because in this particular K-drama, the protagonist, one of the main actors, the stars, he's this big teacher at a cram school, and he does all of these things to make students really enjoy his lessons, and he's very popular and famous and so on. And I thought, well, okay, you have to do that to keep people from falling asleep.
Oh, it would have been better if I watched it.
Yeah, well, now I just told you the whole story, so you don't have to. You don't have to have any more cringe in your life than you already have.
Because the title itself seemed so romancy.
Yeah, well, he has a relationship with the aunt of one of his students, and it's it's like a typical K-drama kind of thing,
Yeah.
Similar themes. Yeah.
Okay, so the last part of our interview, we don't really have many questions really. So you gave some pieces of advice to teachers who may or may not have fallen asleep. So do you have any pieces of advice for students who may be thinkers? Sociologists.
Yeah. Well, one is when it gets so boring that you can't take it anymore, just fall asleep and save your energy for the learning that you really love. Right. So do that. So sit in the back of a class and just pull your hat down over your eyes a little bit and just take a nap. That's my advice to students. But then when you have the classes that really enlighten you, like they really turn you on and you really feel good about it, and your mind starts to come alive, then put your energy there. Yeah. And really just know that it's really okay to just be a thinker. Things will be okay. Just think think on your own terms, but also find scholars, find people who are really smart and try to take little nuggets of information, of ideas from them, you know, their best ideas, and just pursue those, knowing that life is really long. It takes many years to be able to develop one's mind. So, yeah, that's my advice to students.
Okay. I have been wondering this for a long time, but sometimes I feel like, you know, Konkuk University is not the top university of Korea. So maybe, like, I just keep thinking, is the reason why I don't have interest in these lectures because I'm not in like that the top of the hierarchy?
That's such a good question. The answer is absolutely no. Yeah. No, that's not the reason at all. I would say it's probably even more problematic at the Sky schools. Yeah, it's probably even more like based on rote memorization and listening to these important professors who have so much to say, and they stand up in front of the room and they pontificate. Do you know what that word means?
Pontificate?
Pontificate.
Pontificate.
P-O-N-T. That means when they have big oratory, they give these great speeches and they just go on and on and on. That's pontificating. Yeah.
Pontificating. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's probably more troubling at the Sky School. I know it is, actually, because I know how it is here at those schools everywhere. Yeah.
I've been thinking like maybe in the Sky schools, there are professors like you who just give questions and let students think. No,
I'm sure there are some, obviously, because there are many hundreds of professors, right? If not thousands, right?
Yeah.
But I think the higher up you go in these schools where there's more at stake, the students who get into those schools are even more following a very rigid box, you know. They're more likely to feel compelled to do exactly as they are told. Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, so be very happy where you are.
Okay.
And Konkuk is actually perfect because it's not at the top, but it's highly ranked, so it's not at the bottom. It's like really perfect. You don't have to be the greatest ever, right? But you're in a really good school, a good university where you can find very thoughtful students and professors if you want to find them.
Yeah, I am pretty happy with our school. I think they provide lots of stuff to students.
They do, actually. And by the way, can you read that?
Oh, wait. Sam Richards. Wait,
let me see. Hang on, let me see if I get it. I don't know if I can get it.
It reads sociologist.
Yeah.
Oh wait. You're oh, I don't know how to say it.
No, it's like that. Here.
You're teaching a class in culture and contents. Is that right?
Yeah, it's honorary chair professor.
My God. What?
Yeah, I can't get it closer.
So cool.
It won't get.
Won't focus
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, it won't focus. Yeah, so I am a professor at Konkuk.
Wait, then does it mean you're gonna have a lecture or like?
Well, I mean, I'll be there in September. Yeah, I'll do a couple lectures for sure. Yeah, but in terms of offering a class, I'll never offer a class. I probably won't offer a class for a whole semester, that kind of thing, because I don't even want to do that here. Yeah. But yeah, I'll be giving many lectures at Konkuk. Yeah, it's
Okay.
really exciting. You'll have to
Wait,
come. You're only a sophomore, so in September we will
Yeah.
meet.
Yeah, we will. Maybe.
Okay.
Wait, then is there a reason you're collaborating or like coming to Konkuk this often?
Yeah,
How
because
did
I
you
really,
know about this university?
I think just about a couple of years, a year and a half ago, I started having conversations with your administration. Isa Jangnim. And with, yeah,
Yeah.
so it's good. It's awesome. Yeah, I feel really honored. I'm honored to be considered a professor there. It feels really, really cool. Yeah.
It was kind of cool for me too, because I've only seen you in like YouTube videos.
Uh-huh. All right, any other questions?
No, that's all for our column in the English newspaper. But I've gotten so much more today.
Me too, actually. Hey, I will put this up on my YouTube page and do me a favor, write in Korean. So send me an email and just write some things in Korean that I can write, put in the on the YouTube link, right? So the description of this video, like say it, but write it in Korean, you know who we are, and then I'll share the link and you can put the link in the article.
Okay. That's
like
perfect.
including your name in Korean and the newspaper and that kind of thing. Okay. And I'll put it on the video.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Nice talking. Have a lovely Sunday.
You too. Is it Saturday?
Saturday. Yeah, Saturday night. Yeah, it's 9:07. Yeah.
Okay. Have a good evening then. And
thank you I'm gonna take a walk. Yeah, thank you. It's been awesome.
Okay.
All right, I will see you.
Okay. Then how would you share the recording then? Or
I can send the recording to you also. I'll put it on YouTube on my channel.
Okay. Okay.
And then that's where I will take what you send me in Korean. I'll actually put it in the information box. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I will see you.
Bye.
Ciao.